Hey, Somies, it's day 30. I it's been an interesting past couple days, and feel like I'm kind of coming out the other, not coming out, have come out the other side. Of course, the first day after I didn't pass my level 1 assessment, I was already within a few hours of waking up back at practicing guiding sessions, and even though I was also dancing with the voice of despair and disappointment and self-criticism and shame and all that. Sunday, this past Sunday, when Niraj did a live online event, I'm so frustrated because the chat room scrolls by at such a frenetic speed that things are here and gone in no time. But somebody posted a phrase that just caught my attention, and that is that God, the acronym GOD, stands for gifts of desperation. And I've been thinking about that today, and been thinking how, honestly true that is, at least in my life, that the times of greatest, most profound divine encounters have come in times when my need for and clinging to and for control has been put to the test and can't stand up to the test. That when I'm in the driver's seat of my life, I'm less willing to hand over that control, and less attuned to hearing the voice of Spirit to speak, and then to apprehend that and make changes. I think for me, as I shared at the very beginning, the first 2 or 3 days of my posts, probably the most absolutely profound story I have in my life around that was the large dose of plant medicine that I did with a shaman, and 3.5 hours in, lying on the earth, on the ground, and begging to die. And for me, I'd go back. It's funny because I tell that story to people, and it's like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. And I'm like, God, I'd go back and do it again in a heartbeat. And that's not to say that it wasn't. It was the most difficult moment I think I've ever faced in my life. But it was just the level of clarity and the level of a recognition for surrender, to recognize that all those years that I was, I was trying to, after the abuse in my past, trying to numb the pain in all sorts of different ways. And I was, it was a gift of desperation, because the very thing broke me to the point of feeling like there was no solution and there was no out, became the very door for new life. And, I think those come on small scale and large scale in some people's lives. I think they come a variety of different impactful ways. I was blessed in that time, in that moment, to have one that was such a incredible transformation and wake-up call that really just shook me to the core, the very foundation of my being. But as I think about, it's like a couple days out, is like, he didn't pass his assessment. Oh my God, gee, that's really just earth-shattering. And not to minimize the fact that it raised a lot of old patterns for me. Sense of not being able to trust myself, the sense that under pressure I fail, and that it's safer to hide and it's safer to take no risks than to lean in and to move forward. So I've come around. I'm grateful that I actually have. I really feel today, as I was writing my journal, I have a level of gratitude for not both for recognizing the courage that, I started the third week in November, and my mentor was sharing with me that majority of people don't get to that level 1 assessment for close to a year. And being able to step back and commend myself for the courage that I did take. But then also to just realize, there's a blessing. It made me realize after that post, that night that I made, and just the thought about saying, well, I could get my money back, and it's still within the 60 days. And I just, in struggling in my heart, I recognized that this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. And I have a real fire burning in my belly, a real hunger. And that the blessing in disguise was recognizing that the way I was going about leading the assessment with a script wasn't what I wanted to do. I needed to press in harder against the fear of not being able to perform, not being able to do it without it scripted. And my mentor told me that he doesn't pass anybody if they do an absolutely perfect assessment, but it's been scripted. He sends them back to do it again. And part of that is he says, we don't need people standing up in front of a group at a yoga center or on a stage, on a platform in front of a lot of people and reading off of a computer screen or reading off their notes. And I want to show up authentically as myself. I want it to come from as deep within my heart as I can do in that moment. And that's my gift to those who I guide, and to really just be all in. So, acronym for God, gifts of desperation. Oh my gosh. At least it's not dog. I'll leave you with that. Blessings, everyone. See you tomorrow.